That's where the camera is.
Is it on?
Yeah.
I'm Nick Napoli. This gear's blizzard.
Pretty cool.
Playing video games affect your anger issues in real life?
I don't think so. I think in a lot of ways it's a good vent.
Either way. I wouldn't think that I would be more or less violent depending on like what games I play, because there's like times where I just don't get a chance to play them and I don't feel any differently, except for the fact that I just kind of want to play. I think a lot of it has to do with like the different kinds of games I play. Like I play more RPGs, things like that. I'm not as much like playing like fighting games constantly, or like I'm not a big like FPS fan.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, not to say that I don't like those games, but I don't feel like they influence my like anger really.
Alright. Do you think violence in video games influences young children or young adults to act out?
I feel that video games wouldn't influence them any more than like a television show or other people. Like I feel like there's always going to be an outlet for it, like whether or not it's video games or like a book or anything really, just
any sort of media.
Exactly.
So obviously you don't think violent acts cause violence in real life.
From the game.
Yeah, from the game.
I don't believe that there was.
When someone gets mad at a video game, do you think it's because of the violent act creating the violence, or a source of competition that creates the violent outburst?
I think competition is a big one. I think if someone's really competitive and someone's like is innate to do those kind of things, like before that, like I feel like you have to be a certain kind of person to get upset about them prior to playing. I don't think playing the game over and over again was going to make you more upset. You know what I mean? Just from the game itself.
Yeah, it's usually a competitive aspect to it.
Just the nature of the person.
Right. Do you think violent acts in video games causes violence in real life at all?
No.
When someone gets mad at a video game, do you think it's because of the violent act creating the violence, or a source of competition that creates the violent outburst?
For me, it's competition. I'll have random outbursts. I'll get pretty pissed off, but that's because I want to win the game. I'm not gonna, want to inflict pain on someone because I didn't win at a video game.
Have you ever taken out violence on another person because of a video game?
Because of a video game? No. Another person? On my controller, yes.
How many controllers have you lost to outbursts?
2 or 3.
How many phones have you lost to
2 or 3.
Do you think that's a problem?
Yeah, that's not good.
And it's because of the competition aspect. So.
This actually has got a little...
Show that to the camera.
little dink in there, but some glue can't fix.
Okay. I don't believe that someone who is predisposed to violent acts, like, that just is like a history of violence, like, not trying to use the pun, but that a video game is going to be the only thing that was going to make them that way. Like, you start doing something in a game, and like, okay, say you're killing zombies or something over and over again, and you're like, okay, well, this is going to make this person just, what's the word? Desensitized to doing it in real life. I feel like there would always be a way for that person to become desensitized. Like, because someone says, oh, well, we didn't have these kind of crimes, or we didn't have people doing these kind of things, way back when video games weren't around, like, people didn't shoot people and say they were copying Counter-Strike. Okay, there were the Crusades, which was based on the Bible. There were, like, Hitler killed, 6 million people based on something that he wrote, a piece of literature. Mm-hmm. There's always an outlet for these things. You can't, like, what video games was Hitler playing when, the game where you throw Jews into an oven. Like, there's no game for it. Yeah. Like, it just kind of, I don't know, it doesn't really hold water to me.
Violence has been portrayed in many medias and stories and history throughout.
Absolutely.
Like, if you look at the first TV shows, it was like Cowboys and Indians.
Cowboys and Indians. That's what I was gonna say. People like there were. I remember someone was talking about one of my classes, like, oh well, I volunteer at a day or I work at a daycare, and you're gonna tell me that it doesn't influence them when they're like, oh, we're playing Halo, like the little kids running around like kicking each other and playing Halo, like they say, oh, we're mimicking Halo, and I'm like, okay, 30 years ago it would have been Cowboys and Indians, like
That's a good point.
20 years ago it would have been Power Rangers, like you could anything,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Do you think children may be more influenced to act that way because of what they see, though, through the media?
I think it's just always an outlet. It's always children like to use their imaginations and pretend and do things, and just fighting each other by themselves isn't going to be fun. Like, oh, I'm myself. Like they want to pretend like they're these, anything they see. So, I guess if you wanted to, you're not going to stop it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. There's always going to be like an imaginative thing. Like they can make up their own things. The only way that you would not be able to like have an outlet would be if you just stuck a kid in a room for his entire life and didn't show him anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? See, I wouldn't say that I act out violently, but I would say like I can get angry or annoyed, and it's generally not the game that makes me annoyed. I play World of Warcraft. And sometimes you get into like a random group with people and you're just trying to get something accomplished and there's just a person that's just incompetent and doesn't and you're trying to help them do something and you're trying to okay, listen to me, I know how to do this, we're going to do this and we can get this done, and then they're just not paying attention, not just doing something stupid. And it would be the exact same thing in real life if you're at a job and you're saying, I need you to do this, in order to get this done we have to do this, and then they just walked off to a restaurant or something. It's
Let's see here. There's a video game story. It's about the Nintendo. We were playing the Wii and the Home Run Derby that it has. And this kind of goes to show that it's not really video game violence that can create violence. It's the competitive nature. Because the game, obviously, baseball is less violent, I guess, as you can get. And we were playing that, and I was pretty much the rule of the roast there. I was top dog. And I'm gloating pretty heavily about how well I'm doing. And a friend who didn't like me gloating took a pint glass and bashed it over the back of my head, causing me to bleed profusely and have scars. He immediately felt bad after and paid me $200 for some reason. Alcohol might have been a factor. But still, yeah, that just goes to show that it was the competitive nature of the game, not the game itself that created violence.
What you're playing?
My name's Chris Russell. I'm playing Halo Reach.
I'm playing video games for.
So I was like 6.
Do you think violence in video games has affected you at any point?
No, I mean, it makes me angry sometimes when I'm playing them, but that's just frustration from losing, I guess.
So when someone gets mad at a video game, do you think it's because of the violent act creating the violence, or a source of competition that creates the violent outburst?
Probably a competition. Same thing as being frustrated from losing a sports game or anything like that. It's the same reaction, in my opinion. It's hard to focus on your questions and kicking ass at the same time.
Does that make you mad?
It makes me furious. Gotta be it. Almost every video game has a level of violence. Mario has violence. You're jumping on and squishing things, that's violence. It's not as to a high degree as Halo. This is actually shooting people and killing them. But at the same time, you're not actually killing them, you get respawned, so the actual death doesn't happen.
Revenge. Killjoy.
He's got in the way. Now he's gonna kill you.
That kind of shit has been happening to me all day. Just wrong place, wrong time.